They tell you money can't buy happiness. If you took the wealth of Elon Musk and added the empire of Jeff Bezos and combined them with the reach of Bill Gates, you would almost have enough money to sit at the table with him. History calls him a genius. His enemies called him the devil. But John D. Rockefeller was neither. He was a machine. He looked at the chaotic, messy world of human beings, and he decided to fix it. He didn't want to compete with you. He didn't want to beat you. He wanted to own the ground you stood on. This is not a story about money. It is a story about the terrifying price of order. To understand the monster, you must first meet its creator. They called him Devil Bill. William Rockefeller was not a father. He was a phantom, a bigamist who juggled secret families across state lines, a con artist who sold cancer cures to the dying for $25 a bottle. He sold hope, and the bottle contained nothing but crude petroleum and laxatives. Most fathers teach their sons to be honest, to work hard. Devil Bill leaned down to his son, his breath smelling of other men's money, and whispered the curriculum of the damned. I trade with the boys and skin 'em. I skin 'em every time I can. I want to make them sharp. I want to make them sharp. This was the trauma that forged the Titan. John D. Rockefeller didn't grow up in a home. He grew up in a masterclass of fraud. His father was chaos, unpredictable, wild. So John became the opposite. He became a void. While other children played, John counted. He recorded every penny earned, every penny spent. He realized early that emotions are expensive, but silence is a weapon. He developed a defense mechanism that would terrify Wall Street for 50 years, the mask. If he was angry, he went silent. If he was excited, he went silent. He became a blank screen. He practiced Fletcherism, the art of chewing every bite of food 10 times, extracting every ounce of nutrient, wasting nothing. He treated his dinner the same way he would treat the world. Chew it until it is liquid, swallow the value, spit out the rest. Devil Bill taught him to skin the sheep. John D. Rockefeller decided that was too small. He wasn't going to skin them, he was going to build a slaughterhouse. Cleveland, 1870, the Silicon Valley of the Gilded Age. But it didn't smell like innovation. It smelled like rotten eggs and sulfur. Refining oil was a dirty, violent business. There were 26 refineries in Cleveland alone. It was chaos. Prices were crashing. Everyone was bleeding money. To a normal businessman, this was just competition. But to John D. Rockefeller, competition was not a virtue. It was a sin. It was inefficient. It was wasteful. It was human. He looked at the chaos and saw an error in the code, and he decided to rewrite the laws of physics. He forged a weapon so secret, so lethal, that it remains the darkest conspiracy in American corporate history. The South Improvement Company. The railroads were desperate for volume. Rockefeller gave it to them. He guaranteed 60 carloads of oil a day. In exchange, he didn't just ask for a discount. He asked for the power of God. First, the rebate. Rockefeller paid half what his rivals paid, but that wasn't enough to kill them. He needed the drawback. This is the genius of the devil.
Rockefeller demanded that every time his competitors shipped a barrel of oil, every time they paid full price, the railroad take $1 of their money and give it to him. Let that sink in. His enemies were literally funding his war chest. The harder they worked, the richer he got. It was an economic stranglehold, a mathematical impossibility of survival. They called it the Cleveland Massacre. It wasn't a shootout, it was a liquidation. He invited them in, one by one. He opened his ledger, his holy book, and showed them the truth. He didn't scream, he didn't threaten, he simply whispered the forecast. Take Standard Oil stock, and your family will never know want. Refuse, and you will be crushed. In 6 weeks, 22 of his 26 competitors surrendered. He didn't beat them, he absorbed them. He became the great anaconda, squeezing the life out of the industry until there was only one pulse left, his own. But ghosts have a way of coming back. While Rockefeller was counting his victory in Cleveland, a 14-year-old girl named Ida Tarbell was watching her father die a slow death in Pennsylvania. She watched the South Improvement Company destroy her father's business. She saw the fear in his eyes, the humiliation, and in that moment she didn't just feel sadness, she felt a cold, hard resolve. 30 years later, Ida Tarbell came for him. She didn't use a gun, she used a pen. She spent years digging through the trash of history, finding the missing documents, the secret rebates. She wrote a 19-part series that stripped the clothes off the emperor. She painted Rockefeller not as a genius, but as a predator, a living mummy with a heart of stone. Rockefeller called her Miss Tarbarrel. He tried to ignore her. He thought he was untouchable. He was wrong. The public outrage was a tsunami. The government had to act. 1907, the United States versus Standard Oil. The charge, illegal rebates. The verdict, guilty. The defendant is fined the sum of $29 million. It was the largest fine in history, enough to bankrupt an empire. The news traveled by wire, vibrating across the country until it reached the Titan himself. He was on the golf course. He read the telegram. He didn't scream. He didn't throw his club. He looked at the messenger with those dead, shark-like eyes. Judge Landis will be dead a long time before this fine is paid. He was right. He never paid a dime. But the war wasn't over. In 1911, the Supreme Court dropped the ultimate hammer. They ordered the breakup of the monopoly. The octopus was chopped into 34 pieces. The public cheered. The dragon was slain. Justice was served. Or was it? When the company broke apart, Rockefeller kept his stock in all the new pieces, and as the automobile age exploded, those pieces doubled, tripled, quadrupled in value. The government tried to destroy him, and instead they made him the richest man the world has ever seen. So, who won? Ida Tarbell died in 1944. She was a hero. She was respected, but she died with modest means. Rockefeller died in 1937. He left behind a dynasty that would rewrite the 20th century. Look around you. The fuel in your car, that's him. The plastic in your phone, that's him. The foundation of modern medicine, that's him. He didn't just win the game, he built the board we're all playing on. The lesson of the Titan is not about oil, it is about the ledger. Rockefeller taught us that the world does not reward the loud, it does not reward the emotional, it rewards the architects. While his enemies screamed about fairness, he was quietly calculating the efficiencies of the drawback. While they played checkers, he was rewriting the rules of chess. He showed us that fairness is a fairy tale we tell children. In the real world, there are only two categories: the organizers and the organized, the butchers and the cattle. You don't have to be a monster, you don't have to be a predator, but you must respect the physics of power. Control your emotions, hoard your information, and never, ever let them see you bleed. Because in the end, history isn't written by the good, it's written by the winners. Check the ledger.